Welcome to the channel that uncovers the real stories behind the British royal family. Today, we're diving into a topic that has shaken both the media and the public, the health of King Charles III. Behind Buckingham Palace's official statements, behind those reassuring smiles and brief public appearances, what is really going on? And more importantly, is the king's health now affecting the stability of both the monarchy and the nation itself? Because in a constitutional monarchy like the United Kingdom, the king's health is far more than a private matter. It is a symbol, one that directly impacts public trust and the balance of power that the monarchy represents. Even the smallest signs of change in the king's condition can trigger significant consequences, especially when lingering issues remain unresolved. From Prince Andrew's scandal to the pressure of passing royal duties to Prince William, and the ever-growing influence of the media on royal life. In that context, the question is, can the British monarchy withstand the ultimate test? Time. When a king begins to weaken, it's not just the throne that trembles, but also the sacred image of the monarchy in the hearts of the people. Today's video will take you deeper into that story. We'll look closely at King Charles's true condition, the subtle signs of a looming transition of power, Prince William's growing role, and how the media is shaping the monarchy's future. To begin, let's explore why King Charles's health has become such a point of national concern and how it might affect his role within the royal family. Over the past few months, reports about King Charles III's health have dominated headlines. Despite Buckingham Palace maintaining strict silence and releasing only limited updates on his treatments, international observers and royal insiders believe the king's condition is far more serious than the public has been led to believe. Some close sources even claim he is battling late-stage cancer and that his time may be running out. According to reports from the Daily Beast and the Mirror, ever since his diagnosis earlier this year, King Charles's schedule has been drastically reduced. He has appeared less frequently in public, canceled several state visits, and spent most of his time receiving treatment either at Sandringham or at undisclosed medical facilities. Insiders describe a king who, despite maintaining a calm front, is rapidly losing strength, particularly in recent months. Lady Colin Campbell, well known for her revelations about royal affairs, said on a talk show, "The king's condition is no secret to those close to him. Charles is going through a very difficult time, and he probably knows he doesn't have much time left to prepare for the necessary transition." Meanwhile, Tom Sykes, royal correspondent for the Daily Beast, remarked, "Buckingham Palace is trying to control the narrative, but clearly, they can't hide it forever. The king is fading, and that is reshaping the entire power structure of the royal family." The issue, however, extends beyond illness. King Charles is always ruled with a soft yet cautious approach. He strives to balance tradition with modern expectations, to protect royal loyalty while responding to public pressure. But illness has inevitably weakened his control, especially when faced with internal crises like Prince Andrew's scandal. Prince Andrew, the king's younger brother, has long been seen as a stain on the modern monarchy. After being accused of involvement with the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, his reputation collapsed completely. King Charles once handled the issue diplomatically, stripping Andrew of his royal titles to preserve the image of the crown. But now, as Charles battles cancer, pressure is mounting once again, with reports suggesting Andrew is seeking a way back into royal life, possibly with Queen Camilla's quiet support. In this context, the king's health has become the critical factor that could determine the monarchy's future. Every time he misses a major event, speculation grows that power is gradually shifting into Prince William's hands. And indeed, recent appearances show William taking on more royal duties, not just greeting dignitaries, but also attending private advisory council meetings once reserved for the king. Analysts believe Charles is attempting a soft transition, ensuring the handover happens smoothly, without alarming the public. But achieving that balance means maintaining the illusion of a king still firmly on the throne, while quietly preparing his heir behind the scenes. It's an almost impossible task for any monarch, especially when both time and health are no longer on his side. Some believe that King Charles's illness has made him more reflective about life and his legacy. According to several royal insiders, the king often speaks about his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and how she managed to uphold the unwavering image of the monarchy throughout her 7 decades on the throne. While Charles may never command the same level of reverence as his mother, he is determined to leave behind a worthy legacy. At the very least, a royal household that is orderly and untarnished before his time comes to an end. For that reason, he has been quietly trying to resolve long-standing issues, including those surrounding Prince Andrew and the simmering tensions within his own family. Yet as Lady Colin Campbell once remarked, the king's illness may be making him softer, and in the royal family, softness is always fuel for power struggles. Her words seem to capture exactly what's happening inside Buckingham Palace today, a place where every move the king makes is closely scrutinized, not only by the public, but by those closest to him. Even so, there's no denying that King Charles is still trying to fulfill his duties to the very end. He continues to appear in public with a calm smile, sending the message that all is well, even as he quietly endures ongoing treatments in unrelenting pain. That resilience is more than just the strength of a monarch. It is the endurance of a man who has withstood decades of criticism, from his affair with Camilla to the tragedy that will forever bear the name Diana. Now, as his health continues to decline, the British monarchy stands at a major crossroads. The truth is, King Charles's condition affects far more than just himself. It is reshaping the very structure of royal power, and all eyes are now turning toward his successor. As King Charles III weakens with illness, the royal family appears to be entering a quiet yet deeply significant transition. There have been no official statements, no grand ceremonies, no formal announcements from Buckingham Palace, and yet every sign suggests that power is gradually shifting into the hands of Prince William, the king's eldest son and direct heir to the throne. According to palace insiders, in recent months, King Charles has drastically limited his public engagements, delegating many of his royal responsibilities to William. From receiving foreign dignitaries and attending memorial services, to leading private meetings with the Advisory Council, William's presence has grown increasingly prominent, not merely as a prince, but as the acting head of the monarchy. British media have called this period a soft transition, an unofficial but unmistakable passing of the torch. Charles, the man who waited his entire life for the crown, now faces the sobering reality that he no longer has the strength to reign as he once hoped. Rather than resisting it, the king is said to be deliberately guiding and testing his son, ensuring a smooth and dignified succession when the moment inevitably arrives. A source from the Sunday Times revealed that King Charles has full faith in William's maturity and judgment, viewing him as the only one capable of maintaining the stability the monarchy so desperately needs. But this transition is not merely a matter of father and son. It is a calculated political move, with the king's health uncertain and royal scandals continuing to erupt, gradually empowering William that has become the only viable way to protect the institution's public image. For his part, Prince William seems acutely aware of his new role. He is no longer just the beloved heir, but the de facto leader of the next royal generation. In recent appearances, his decisive and pragmatic approach has revealed a leadership style entirely his own, faster, firmer, and far less afraid of confrontation than his father ever was. A prime example of this shift is the removal of Prince Andrew's royal titles, the king's own brother. Although the official decision was issued in King Charles's name, many insiders claim it was William who pushed for it most strongly. He believes that if the monarchy is to survive in the 21st century, it must sever all ties with those whose reputations have brought shame upon the crown. It was William who firmly opposed Prince Andrew's quiet attempts to return to public life, despite the discreet support Andrew reportedly received from Queen Camilla. That decision was more than just a disciplinary measure. It revealed William's clear vision of leadership, one that places the monarchy's image and public trust above family loyalty. In the eyes of many, this marks the greatest difference between William and King Charles. While Charles has always sought compromise to avoid hurting those closest to him, William is willing to act decisively, even ruthlessly, to safeguard the institution. Supporters praise William for bringing a fresh energy to the royal family, younger, more pragmatic, and more in tune with the public mood. Yet some fear his firmness could ignite internal conflicts, particularly as certain members, including Camilla and Andrew, begin to feel their positions under threat. Still, there is no denying that the transition of power has already begun, reshaping the entire structure of the monarchy. Recent key decisions, from William chairing private royal meetings to representing his father at official ceremonies, all signal that he is quietly preparing to take the throne. Even the traditionally cautious British press has begun referring to him as the king in practice, implying that he already carries much of the burden of the crown, even without wearing it. What makes this transition remarkable is that it is not merely administrative. It carries deep symbolic weight. After years of doubt over the monarchy's ability to lead in the post-Elizabethan era, the British people seem to be gradually placing their hopes in William, a man who endured the tragedy of losing his mother yet remains grounded, balancing tradition with modern sensibility. But with trust comes enormous pressure. William must prove he can uphold the legacy of his mother, Princess Diana. While preserving the authority of the monarchy, he faces a skeptical public, a rebellious brother living in America, and a stepmother still seen by many as the woman behind Diana's heartbreak. Meanwhile, his father, though frail, remains the lawful sovereign, forcing William to tread carefully, ensuring every move avoids the appearance of ambition or haste. Even so, this transfer of power seems irreversible. Once the king can no longer fulfill his duties, Prince William will officially assume the role the nation has long awaited. And when that moment arrives, a new era for the British monarchy will begin, one in which William is not just the heir, but the architect of its future. Yet the question remains, will this transition of power truly unfold as smoothly as it appears? Or behind Buckingham's gilded doors, do rivalries, hidden agendas, and unresolved conflicts still simmer beneath the surface? The rise of Prince William has not only altered the dynamics within the palace, but also brought to light a series of sensitive issues the royal family can no longer avoid. Chief among them is the scandal surrounding Prince Andrew, King Charles's brother, a silent storm threatening the reputation of the entire monarchy. And at a time when the king himself is battling illness, all eyes have turned to William, now seen as the monarchy's strongest pillar. Prince Andrew's scandal began with shocking revelations about his association with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The controversy centered on Andrew's close friendship with Epstein, who had been charged with trafficking and exploiting underage girls. In 2010, as evidence of lavish parties, private jet trips, and disturbing allegations surfaced, Andrew's reputation collapsed almost overnight. The breaking point came with his disastrous BBC interview, in which his attempt to defend himself only deepened public outrage. The public simply could not accept that a senior member of the royal family might be linked to one of society's most abhorrent crimes. The pressure on Buckingham Palace was immense. Then Prince Charles urged his younger brother to step back from public life. And ultimately, Andrew was forced to suspend all royal duties. Yet stripping him of the title Duke of York, a symbol tied to centuries of royal tradition, was an agonizing decision, one that could only be made when the very stability of the crown was at stake. And that moment came. As King Charles's health began to decline, he could no longer oversee every matter within the palace. His hesitation and reluctance to confront his brother directly left William no choice but to step in. According to several royal insiders, it was Prince William who pushed for Andrew's official removal from the list of working royals. William understood that hesitation could destroy the monarchy's reputation even further. At a time when Britain was searching for renewed trust in its royal institution, allowing a figure as disgraced as Andrew to reappear in public would have been an act of self-sabotage. That is why William's decision, though seen by some as cold and merciless, won the approval of the public. Inside the palace, however, the move sent shockwaves. Many felt William had overstepped his authority, taking control of royal affairs while King Charles was still on the throne. Yet the king's declining health forced everyone to confront a harsh reality. Britain had entered a period of power transition. During that time, Charles, a man driven by a deep instinct to protect his family, was torn between duty and blood. He knew Andrew had committed grave mistakes, but he also understood that exposing everything could irreparably damage the monarchy. Those close to him recalled the king once confided to an advisor, saying, "If I am a brother, I want to protect Andrew. But if I am the king, I must protect the crown." That single sentence revealed the profound conflict within a man who is at once a brother, a father, and the symbolic head of a nation. As Charles grew weaker, more of the key decisions began falling to William. It was he who chaired meetings on royal image, coordinated communications, and crafted messages around a modern, transparent, and accountable monarchy. Many analysts believe William's handling of the Andrew affair was not just about protecting the family's reputation. It was his first true test of leadership. Even so, the British public remains divided. Some see William as the decisive figure the monarchy needs, a man unafraid to act when principle demands it. Others accuse him of being cold, opportunistic, and using his father's frailty to consolidate power. But one thing is certain: William's approach to the Andrew crisis has opened a new chapter in royal history, a pragmatic era where public image and trust outweigh family bonds. The scandal surrounding Prince Andrew is no longer just a personal disgrace. It is a test of the entire royal institution. Buckingham Palace's response to the crisis reflects a profound shift in the modern age. The monarchy is no longer an untouchable family shielded by reverence, but an organization held accountable by the global public and press. And this leads to an even larger question. As King Charles continues to battle illness, was his decision to make his health public a wise move, or a dangerous gamble that could further erode the monarchy's fragile trust? For centuries, the British royal family has lived by the rule that silence is golden. Details of their health were kept under the tightest secrecy. Even when Queen Elizabeth II's condition visibly deteriorated in her later years, the palace issued only vague updates. Under medical supervision, or resting on doctors' advice, the public never knew what illness she faced, how severe it was, or how close she might have been to the end. That is why King Charles's choice to publicly disclose his cancer diagnosis earlier this year was seen as a historic turning point. For the first time, the head of the British monarchy, an institution built on discretion, composure, and restraint, decided to share a deeply personal matter with his people. According to Buckingham Palace, the king was diagnosed with cancer following a prostate procedure. The palace did not specify the type of cancer, but confirmed that he was undergoing treatment and remained in good spirits. Yet what truly captured attention was not the illness itself, but Charles's decision to confront it so openly. Royal commentators view this as a calculated move. In an era dominated by social media and relentless news cycles, secrecy or delay only fuels rumors and conspiracy theories. By going public early, the monarchy seized control of the narrative, minimizing the risk of misinformation and reinforcing the image of a modern, transparent crown. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams believes King Charles understands that his mother's era is over. Today, transparency is no longer optional. It is an obligation if the monarchy wants to retain the public's trust. Not everyone agrees, and a conservative faction among the aristocracy and parts of the press warn that disclosing the sovereign's illness is a double-edged sword. They fear the revelation could undermine confidence in the monarchy's stability, especially given that the monarch's health is bound up with the nation's continuous symbolic identity. Some papers, including the Telegraph, have asked bluntly, if the king is not fit to reign, who will actually run the country? A delicate question Buckingham Palace has long avoided. This split in public opinion reflects a shift in how Britons view the monarchy. Under Queen Elizabeth II, silence was considered a strength. In the age of global media, however, silence is easily read as opacity or concealment. Charles seems to grasp that, and he has chosen to reverse tradition, opting for openness in exchange for trust. But the question remains, does this transparency actually achieve the intended result? Some analysts argue that, rather than generating sympathy, going public has increased public anxiety. People now speculate about the king abdicating or Prince William taking the throne sooner than expected. The British press repeatedly publishes images of the monarch looking thin and fatigued at rare appearances, making the picture of stability appear even more fragile. The situation grew more complicated when the public began comparing Charles's openness with the handling of Princess Kate Middleton. While the king chose to disclose his illness, the princess remained silent for months after an undisclosed abdominal operation. That lack of openness fueled a wave of online rumors, from divorce speculation to worst-case health scenarios, until Kate later released a heartfelt video confirming she was undergoing cancer treatment. Only then did public panic begin to subside. The contrast between the two approaches, disclosure versus secrecy, has left many asking which is the wiser choice. Charles's transparency has been praised as brave candor, yet Kate's initial silence provoked public backlash despite her later decision to speak out. This dynamic shows that in an era when information spreads in an instant, the monarchy can no longer afford to be out of step with the public. Some commentators argue that King Charles, by going public, has set a new precedent for the next generation. He wants William and Kate to understand that public trust cannot be built behind walls of silence any longer. Whether criticized or questioned, transparency remains, they say, the only viable path for the monarchy in the 21st century, where hidden truths are sooner or later exposed. Still, a number of people mourn the age of Queen Elizabeth II, a time of dignity and restraint. They contend that by disclosing his illness, Charles has diminished some of the mystical aura that once shrouded the throne. In their view, the royal household should not be just like ordinary people. It must retain a measured distance to preserve authority. Charles appears to see this differently. He believes the monarchy's real strength in the modern age lies in empathy. When a king admits to pain and vulnerability, he becomes more relatable and, paradoxically, more trustworthy. That is why Charles's decision is being seen as historic, a small act with the potential to reshape the relationship between the crown and the public. In the wider picture of the king's health, the media act as a bridge between the monarchy and the people. Yet the British press's approach to covering this story is highly distinctive, cautious, restrained, and often intentionally circumspect. In a nation where the royal family is a sacred symbol of tradition, every line written about them is more than news. It is a test of the delicate boundary between respect and intrusion. Since Buckingham Palace confirmed the king's cancer diagnosis, major outlets such as the BBC, The Times, The Telegraph, and the Daily Mail have largely stuck to official statements released by the royal household. There have been no specifics about the type of cancer, its severity, or the treatment plan. The tone of coverage has been measured, wary and symbolic, as if protecting the image of a sovereign rather than reporting the reality of a patient. That caution is not accidental. Historically, the British media have maintained a semi-familiar, semi-deferential relationship with the crown. They understand that a sensational headline about the monarch's health can border on sacrilege and, worse, shake public confidence in the institution. Hence, mainstream outlets tend to observe an invisible rule: report what is authorized and remain silent where silence is deemed necessary. By contrast, in the independent media sphere, commentators like Tom Sykes on Substack adopt a different stance. Unbound by royal protocol, they will state things plainly, probe deeper, and advance bold hypotheses. While the BBC may report simply that the king is undergoing active treatment, Tom Sykes writes bluntly that close sources reveal the illness is at a more serious stage than the palace admits. This contrast exposes two currents of thought, one that places respect above all, and another that sees transparency as a duty to the public. From there, the bigger question emerges: where is the line between privacy and public duty? A king, though human like any other, remains a symbol of the nation. His health can directly influence politics, the economy, and the public's faith in the monarchy. Yet revealing too much could spark confusion, fear, and endless speculation. The press, therefore, must walk a tightrope where every word carries weight and consequence. The media, in many ways, acts as a mirror reflecting how the royal family appears in the eyes of the public. But whether that reflection is truthful depends on how journalists choose to balance professional integrity with respect for the crown. And from here, another question arises, one that strikes at the very heart of the matter. Should the royal family's right to privacy outweigh their public duty as national figures? Privacy has always been one of the monarchy's most fiercely guarded values, especially when it comes to the health of senior royals. Though they live under the constant scrutiny of the public eye, the boundary between private and public has long been maintained with great care. The health of a sovereign, therefore, is not merely a personal concern, it is a matter of national symbolism. Choosing whether to reveal or conceal such information is not just a private decision, but a strategic one for the entire institution. Historically, Queen Elizabeth II almost never disclosed anything about her health. She was hospitalized on occasion and faced mobility issues in her later years. Yet Buckingham Palace released only the briefest of statements, no details, no emotions. That silence helped preserve her image as unwavering and timeless, a steadfast pillar, no matter how turbulent the world became. Prince Philip was much the same, undergoing medical treatment in private, never showing vulnerability before the public. For them, privacy was not merely a right, but an art, the art of preserving the monarchy's mystique and symbolic authority. However, a clear contrast can be seen when looking beyond the UK. In the United States, the president's health is almost always made public through regular medical reports. The White House releases detailed updates annually, as transparency is viewed as a democratic obligation. When Joe Biden or Donald Trump underwent health checks, the media was promptly informed, not just for transparency's sake, but to maintain public confidence. Similarly, the Pope, a global spiritual leader, often shares details about his health openly. Pope Francis has spoken candidly about his surgeries and even joked about his frailty, turning vulnerability into sincerity and connection. This contrast reveals two distinct philosophies. In democratic systems, transparency is a duty. In constitutional monarchies, dignity and stability take precedence. The British monarchy regards privacy as part of its identity, a protective veil that sustains the aura of permanence and power. Yet this also invites criticism that secrecy can breed mistrust or fuel rumors. Thus, the issue is no longer about whether the royals should be transparent, but how they can balance two seemingly opposing ideals, privacy and public accountability. Because once a king becomes the living embodiment of a nation, his health no longer belongs solely to him. It becomes intertwined with the people's faith in the crown itself. And all these debates lead to one final question. How does King Charles's health truly affect politics and public opinion? As King Charles's health becomes a national talking point, its impact extends far beyond the realm of medicine or personal well-being. It reaches deep into the inner workings of royal politics. The monarch's declining strength has subtly reshaped the traditional power structure within Buckingham Palace. The 75-year-old king, once steadfast in his philosophy of reigning with calm, has been forced to step back, handing over many sensitive responsibilities to Prince William, his eldest son and heir to the throne. In this new landscape, every move William makes carries long-term implications for the future of the monarchy itself. Reports suggest that the king's cancer has reached a critical stage, prompting a major transfer of duties. He no longer appears regularly at national events, nor does he manage crises directly. Into that vacuum steps Prince William, effectively the monarch in waiting, already acting as the de facto head of the royal household. One of his first major tests came with the scandal surrounding Prince Andrew, his uncle, and a figure who had plunged the royal family into one of its deepest crises of credibility. The controversy was not just a moral stain, but a defining test for the next generation's leadership. When Andrew was accused of ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, public outrage was immense, demanding decisive royal action. With King Charles undergoing the treatment and unable to take full command, much of the burden fell on William. Under mounting pressure from both the public and the press, William is believed to have been instrumental in the decision to strip Andrew of all royal titles, including his prestigious Duke of York honor. It was an unprecedented move, a clear statement that, in his era, no one would be above accountability. Public reaction to this was largely positive. Many hailed William as a symbol of reform, a future king unafraid to choose integrity over blood ties. Yet some critics warned that acting too decisively could fracture the family from within. Still, in the eyes of the people, William had made his mark. He was no longer just the heir. He was the custodian of public trust, proving that the monarchy's future lies not in secrecy or sentiment, but in strength, responsibility, and renewal. At this moment, William's role has gone far beyond that of a devoted son. He has become the central figure in protecting and reshaping the image of the British monarchy. British media now describe him as the uncrowned king, the man quietly running the show, from personnel and financial decisions to public engagements. The king's health, though unfortunate, has inadvertently accelerated the transfer of power, forcing William to grow up faster, become tougher, and show greater resilience. What stands out most is the way William handles these challenges with remarkable media strategy. He doesn't speak too much, doesn't criticize anyone publicly, yet lets his actions speak louder than words. When the public questions the monarchy's future, William chooses silence, but continues to appear at social, charitable, and major royal events. That image sends a powerful message. While the king is resting and receiving treatment, the throne remains in capable hands. Thus, the king's health is not just a personal factor, but a catalyst for a period of transformation within the royal family. Every decision, from managing Prince Andrew's scandals to shaping the monarchy's modern image, now carries William's influence. And today, the public no longer sees him merely as the heir, but as the king of a new era, the man quietly steering the royal ship through turbulent waters. Though debates about King Charles's health continue, one thing remains undeniable. His image still stands as a symbol of endurance amid the storm. Throughout his life, the king has faced immense trials, from personal losses to the pressures of the crown, and even now in his twilight years, he continues to fight to preserve the dignity and stability of the monarchy. Meanwhile, Prince William is quietly carrying a part of his father's burden, from crisis management to safeguarding the royal image in the eyes of the public. He is proving that the next generation of the monarchy is not merely inheriting tradition, but redefining how it is perceived. The unity between father and son during this period not only reflects royal duty, but also reinforces the belief that tradition and progress can coexist. Perhaps it is in these moments of hardship that one truly sees the value of perseverance and devotion. The future of the British monarchy remains uncertain, but one thing is sure: they continue to strive, to endure, to adapt, and to preserve the faith of the people. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analyses of the British royal family.